The American Horror Story: Destruction of the Free Market and Destruction of Freedom. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, October the 27th. And, well, another interesting week in politics, in the election, in the business world. In the meantime, we continue to see markets dry up, and we see Kamala out there telling her lies. And again, I'm not saying that Trump doesn't tell lies either, but the flip-flopping of Kamala Harris has been unbelievable, and we'll go through some of those things. But at the end of the day, our freedom is at stake. Our free market system is at stake. And I think that it's time for you to give some real thought to what's going on. I mean, when a Warren Buffett refuses to endorse anyone, we knew he wouldn't endorse Trump. I mean, Trump is the only presidential candidate he never donated to. But he has always been a two-sided donator, obviously trying to create favor from either side. But this election, he is sitting it out and doesn't have doesn't have a dog in the game. So that's interesting. The Washington Post will not endorse Kamala Harris. Again, yeah, I know she's got a lot of celebrity endorsements, and notice who they are. Beyonce and all the big wealthy who will benefit when they steal your freedom, when they steal your speech. Those will be the people that will benefit most. They are known in communist countries as the oligarchs. Okay. So, but suddenly we see some of the unions who have always polled to Democrats. So again, either way, one of the things I want you to remember is that polls are all bullshit. Polls are polls. Okay. They're who reports them, how they want to report them. I think the only true way to understand what is really going on is you look at the betting market, and the betting market now has President Trump favored as he was not. He was the underdog about 3 weeks ago. So we'll see. I have no idea who's going to win. I just know that who I believe I'd like to see win. I think I know who I'd like is better for the country. But at the end of the day, we'll see. Okay, and we'll talk more about that in our commentary. In the meantime, Russia says it's now willing to reach a rational compromise to end the war with Ukraine. What is a reasonable compromise? Did the two sides both steal enough money and screw their citizens enough so now they can go on the sidelines? I mean, certainly for you and me, it would be great for them to end it because they would quit shipping our tax dollars there. But of course, we know with the current administration, they'll find someplace else to ship our tax dollars to. And I think, again, if you don't understand that you are financing every bullshit thing that's going on in this country, then you ought to go see a doctor, because it is your tax dollars, whether they be from the high tax of your income tax from the state you live in, or from the hidden tax of inflation, which is now inflating once again because the Federal Reserve is a bunch of fucking morons that has no clue how the economy actually works, but knows how to flood the system with money and continues to run the plunge protection team, the Fed put, whatever you want to call it. But again, the Fed is now playing politics with the rate cuts. But the last rate cut, again, was not a benefit to you, the American citizen. The last rate cut was a benefit to the banks. Okay. It was a benefit to the government because it's going to spike inflation. Okay. So the government will collect more tax dollars through inflation. The Federal Reserve is now trying to hope they can hold this market up so that the comrade will get elected. For what reason, I don't know, because they're supposed to be bipartisan. They're supposed to be an independent corporation, but you've obviously seen they become just another arm of the government run by a bunch of morons that in sight are smart people. But when they get into the Federal Reserve, they suddenly just decide to destroy free markets instead of promote the free markets. And if you think I don't understand what's going on, we don't have as true of a free market as we had before. I was talking with somebody yesterday about the interest rate market. Now realize that it was a month ago that the Fed cut rates, but the Fed cut the lending rate from the Federal Reserve to the banks. The banks benefit because they make money on the spread between what they borrow and what they lend it to you at. Our interest rates have not gone down. The 10-year notes have gone from 3.4 to 4.3, which is a gigantic move, especially into the rate cut. 20% of households that are making more than $150,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. And of course, obviously, it depends where you live. If you live in New York City, you can't live in poverty at $150,000. You live in Chicago, you can't live in poverty on $150,000 a year. But again, that is a country average. Okay, whatever it happens to be. It is very hard to live when you go to restaurants or you go out, you go to the grocery store, because as I said, inflation is going higher. Okay, the crude oil, which is a big part, is going higher. Okay, so the U.S. now, we are more dependent on fossil fuels than ever. Now, of course, if you don't understand, fossil fuels help create electricity. So now let me think here. Would it be better if we burned the gas in our cars? Okay. Or would it be better if we burn more fossil fuels to create electricity to then go into our electric cars, which of course create more pollution than anything else in the construction and the building of those cars? In other words, the Green New scam is dying. Okay. And again, I am not a climate guy. I don't believe in climate change. I think it's bullshit. I don't fault you if you believe that it's real. Hey, I got no problem with that. But from my perspective, it's all bullshit. And from my perspective, it's a big waste of money at this current time because we are not prepared to go green no matter what they say. You can get the curly Q light bulbs. You can talk about the EVs. We're not ready because we're creating more problems. If you're a believer in the environment, if there's a problem, they're creating more problems by what they're doing and taking more of our dollars as citizens. Okay. So I think this is the end of the global warming talk and nonsense of reasonable, rational people. Listen, the idiots that go out there and, the world is ending tomorrow. I mean, I've heard the world's ending so many times, I can't stand it anymore. Okay. We need in this country, we need more growth. You don't get growth by giving your business to China. You don't give growth by doing things that they're doing. You don't give growth by giving everything away. We need to rebuild America. We need to rebuild the free markets. Okay. But I think when you look at the entire story, this is a horror story, from the immigration to the high inflation, to the destruction of jobs, to everything that this administration is doing, and the flip-flopping of Vice President Harris, who has been in office for 3.5 years and has yet to answer the question. You've been in that office for 3.5 years. You have all these ideas that are counter to what President Biden did. Why have you not enacted any of them? So if you're happy with the influx and the inflow from the borders, if you're happy with the crime, if you're happy with the homelessness, if you're happy with where this country is headed, hey, I can't tell you not to be happy. But I can certainly tell you, we are in a danger area. And of course, in the movie Top Gun, we're going into the danger zone. And this is not the danger zone of flying. This is the danger zone of the total and unbelievable destruction of the greatest country in the world. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, Top Bubba Horowitz. We're going to stop out here for a break. We'll be back with more in our market report right after the break. What's up, kids? Well, again, as always, we talk about our sponsors, and they're brokerage sponsors. And I have other brokers, just to give you full disclosure. But, of course, Capital Trading Group, our partner in many of our products. And, of course, there are futures and commodities broker. And I remind you all, and again, it doesn't matter who you go, but futures brokers do best trading futures, and equity brokers do best trading equities. Those who try to mix together never seem to do either job well. Okay. But Capital Trading Group, one of our partners, great. They're scrolling on the side here. And of course, Trader Brokerage for equities and options. Again, listen, it saves me about $100,000 a year. They're $10 a month flat. And of course, they're also scrolling on the side. And don't forget our our high school program, in which we try to help give some financial literacy to our youth, which of course many of our teachers and many of the people in bureaucracy are against, because if you educate people on money, they might actually realize that they're getting screwed. In the meantime, check it out, scrolling across the bottom. Let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and, of course, our market report. Welcome back. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, Todd Bubba Horowitz. It is Sunday, the 27th of October, and of course, markets had an interesting week last week. Had some down days, got clobbered, rallied back a little bit, but at the end of the day, they were down a little bit. Again, I think that the markets have a lot of room to go on the downside. I don't expect much action between now and the election. I think a lot of people are on the sidelines, and there's a couple of reasons. Some are on the sidelines because they want to wait to see what the election are, and many are on the sidelines because they have no money, because inflation, lack of jobs, no work, no pay, they can't invest anymore. And it's unfortunate and sad that many people have stopped participating in their 401ks because they can't afford it. But the truth is, you really cannot afford to be in your 401k, because that's like getting 4% or 5% more pay in your paycheck that's being put away for you in the long term. But in the meantime, as we look at the markets again were kind of mixed to lowish. But down the line, the dollar, which we don't trade anymore, but we would be long dollars. And of course, we hear all the bullshit about the BRICS nations and everything else. The dollar will be the reserve currency for the foreseeable future. I can't say forever, but for the foreseeable future, it will be. But if this election goes the wrong way, that would be the first step to destroying the U.S. dollar as well. Because again, everybody here wants globalism or globalization. It's all bullshit. Okay. In the meantime, the euro currency, which we're long, has started to bounce a little bit off its bottoms. Bonds and notes continue to get hammered. We are long both. They're very extended, which is why we expect to see a bounce. But again, that just tells you that you're not getting any benefit from the interest rate market. You're getting screwed. Okay, the banks are just making more money. That's what it really means. Okay, just figure it out. If you're paying 8 and the bank was paying 5, they're making 3 points. If the banks are paying 4.5 and you're paying 8, the banks are making 3.5. And of course, mortgage rates have gone up again. So again, let's hear about this great rate cut and what they did for you. All they did is fucked you in the drive-through, okay, and gave you a chance to get screwed even more. In the meantime, Bitcoin, again, is chirping. I mean, we're short Bitcoin, but I'm a fan, but it did reach up to 70,000 and fell back a little bit. Gold and silver, we are short both of gold and silver. Now, again, we love gold and silver, but they're so far extended that there's a reasonable pullback, a reasonable opportunity for a pretty sizable pullback, in which will give you another opportunity to buy. We cannot see the continuing pace of buying of what you're watching. And again, that's one of the things you want to look at. Platinum, which we don't trade, but we would be long if we did. Copper, we're long. In the grain markets, we would be short across the board. In the grain markets, they're under pressure. It's unbelievable what's going on here. But I would expect, in this being an inflation trade with the interest rate market and everything else, I would expect that we would see the grains to start to rally at some point. But we are short across the board. In the meats, again, we don't trade anymore. I'm still short cattle, which again is up at highs once again. I'm out of hogs because I think they're overextended. But I do think that on a pullback, they're probably a buy. Natural gas, we are long. Crude, we are short. And of course, we don't trade the softs anymore. But just if you're curious, we'd be short cocoa, long cotton, long sugar, long coffee, long OJ. But we don't trade anymore, so I don't want to get you off track here. And of course, the indices, we're short the Dow future and flat the other three. Again, looking to most likely get short the other three as well as they reach certain levels and start to spin. But again, I want you just to remember that the overall markets are markets. Okay, I can't tell you where they're going. Yes, I have an opinion. I've had the same opinion for a couple of years or whatever it is. I think there's a big haircut coming, 60, 50, 60, 70%. Can't tell you when it'll be. I would say make this statement that if Harris wins the election, they sell off right away. If Trump wins the election, you get a bounce and then a sell-off. I think either way, the next big move is down, but we'll see. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz. We'll step out here for a break, and we'll be back with our commentary and, of course, our football pick. What's up, kids? Again, just a reminder of our sponsors. I'm not going to go through the whole spiel, but of course, it's Capital Trading Group, Trader Brokerage on the sides, and our high school program on the bottom. And let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and, of course, my commentary. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, October the 27th. It is a football Sunday, albeit circa, because I'm still alive in the Circa Survivor, the quest for 14 million. But in the meantime, again, I just want to talk about the election. And again, I don't care who you vote for. Obviously, I'm voting for Donald Trump. Okay. That is, if you didn't know that already, I am a libertarian, and I think he's the closest thing to a libertarian that we have a choice of who to vote for. And I don't want to tell you who to vote for. You know who I have. You know by my commentary what I think. I don't hide. I don't lie to you. I don't share things. My words to you are, get off your ass and go vote. Okay. Again, whoever you vote for. Look, again, you don't have to vote for my side, but vote. Okay. Use your right. Okay. Use your privilege as an American to go vote at the polls. You got a week to go. Now, some of you can early vote. I've already voted. But again, if you're happy with the way the country's been the last 4 years, then vote that way. If you're unhappy, then vote the other way. But I think it's important for people, no matter what you think, and this is, I think, one of the biggest problems in this country, is that you can't have an opinion. Even the amount of hate mail I get for my opinion. I mean, that's not American. That is not the way that we should be living. Everybody should be able to have their opinion. And I have no problem with your opinion. I wouldn't disown you. I wouldn't dislike you if you voted. But if you're just an imbecile and you can only see one side and can't open your eyes to what goes on and don't see the possibilities and can't work with somebody because they're on one side of the aisle or the other, that's just stupid. So again, I think do yourself a favor, do the country a favor, and get off your ass and vote. Don't just talk. Don't just give bullshit. Go to the polls, get your ballot, vote, and whoever you vote for, at least you have voted, and at least you hopefully will have your voice heard. And this is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz, October 27th, Sunday. And of course, it is football. We got 3 plays we like today, and we've been cooking along pretty good. We like Jacksonville plus against Green Bay. We like Buffalo minus against Seattle, and we like the Washington Redskin plus against the Bears. Have a great weekend, everybody. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. We'll see you back here tomorrow with Bubba's Daily Update.